Hello everyone. So welcome to Cloud Institution, and we are one of the best cloud training providers. We are located in Bangalore. We're offering online and offline classes for various courses. So please check out our website for to get to know about various courses, and also please reach out to us on this number for enrolling or for inquiries. Okay, so let's get started with this today's session. So today we're going to see one of the very important AWS web services, Amazon Web Services, which is AWS service, which is called EC2 Security Groups. Okay, so we're going to see first of all what is AWS, what is AWS, the security groups. Okay, security groups acts as a virtual firewall for your EC2 instance that control the incoming and outgoing traffic. So inbound rules, control the incoming traffic to your instances, and outbound rules controls the outgoing traffic from your instance. Okay, so let's see this one from so with some kind of examples. Okay, so now let's consider this is your apartment. Okay, so let's say for example this is your apartment. So we have a collection of houses. Okay, so um, we have some collection of houses under this apartment, the big apartments. The different houses will be there. Okay, so for now I'm just writing some few kind of apartments. So now for each and every apartments we'll have a gate. Okay, so in the front we'll be having gate, and that gate will be having, so we'll be having like, so we will have some kind of security, we'll security deployed in place. So anybody wanted to come inside this apartment should go through the security, and you'll be allowing you to any kind of a houses. So first of all, if you wanted to think about, like, so who is authorized to enter into this apartment? Okay, so the who is authorized person should be considered as a, okay, so this, if this is the person, so how are you going to know that, whether this guy is the authorized person or not? Okay, so if this guy is supposed to be authorized person, he should be a owner of this house, or he should be a kind of a relative of any of the houses, who is, who's allowing this particular person to allow inside from the security, and then so that he can just go inside this apartment. Okay, or he must be something like, so he must be working somewhere, but whatever it is, you should be showing some kind of identity before entering into this, um, you know entering this to the gate. So now, if you can see, like, so for example, I have, but okay, for this guy is considered to be an authorized person. Okay, so he's allowing to this particular apartment. Okay, which means that he can go to any kind of apartment which is available over here. Okay, so for example, if this guy is the owner of this apartment, okay, so this guy is the owner of this particular apartment. Okay, so let's say for example he's the owner of this apartment. Okay, so he is authorized to go to any other houses. Okay, in his apartment, can go inside and then he can just do whatever he want. It is not the case, right? So if he is authorized to this particular apartment, he should be able to go to the particular houses which is being authorized to. Okay, now, now this guy is authorized to the particular apartment, and he's just getting inside and is going to this apartment. Okay, this everything is fine. Now let's consider who should be able to go outside of this apartment. Okay, so in the general case, anybody, whoever is inside this particular apartment should be able to go outside this apartment. Okay, without having showing any kind of identity. Okay, so without being showing any kind of identity, anybody can go outside. Okay, so not only this guy, the same guy, anybody who is ever present inside this apartment should be able to go outside this. So let's come to the real-time world scenario, right? So let's consider as a this as a EC2 instance. Okay, so let's see. Okay, let's consider this as a EC2. Okay, EC2 instance. So now, if any of the requests coming from outside to this particular instances, somebody has to be denying, somebody has to be validating it. Okay, denying or validating it. So what does it name? It's called is a gate. Okay, this is called the security groups. Okay, in the general term, it can also be called as a firewall. Okay, firewall for our EC2 instances. Okay, So if you can see the EC2 instances, okay, so EC2 instances will be having the security groups or firewall, okay, which will be allowing, okay, allowing any kind of incoming connections by validating it, and then it will be sending to the appropriate services. So if you can consider that all these kind of rooms in the apartments, right? So this considered to be a services. Okay, so in any kind of EC2 instances, we can have a various kind of services. Let's say for example, this is the SSH service. Okay, this is HTTP service. Okay, so this is kind of Tomcat. Okay, just like this, we can install any kind of applications, but each and every application will be working based on the port numbers. Okay, so what are we going to do is that, so if any kind of a request comes to access this particular SSH service, so we need to enable some kind of a specific port from the security group, so that will be authorized, and then it can go and connect to this machine using this SSH service. Okay, for example, I'm allowing the SSH traffic from this gate. Okay, so to be able to access to this machine using this SSH service. Okay, so if I do this one, so I should be enabling the port number 22. Okay, so the SSH port number is going to be 22. I will be allowing the SSH port number 22 from this one, and then and then I'll be allowing the traffic to the allowing traffic to the particular SSH instances. Okay, SSH connection to this particular instance. Okay, so similarly, if you don't enable it, if you don't enable any kind of a port numbers out of here, then nobody should be able to connect to this particular services. For example, if you have installed HTTP, and then if you're allowing to this one, so you should not be able to enable, you should not be able to access this particular HTTP traffic. Okay, so just consider this in your mind. We are going to see the demo. Okay, so if you can go back to our slides. Okay, so we have seen that what is security groups, right? So inbound rules control the incoming traffic to your instances, and the outgoing rules controls outgoing traffic for your instances. So when you launch an instance, okay, so you can specify one or more security groups, okay, that can be managed. Now in this aspect of this demo, okay, so we are going to see the first one is that, so create launching EC2 instance. Okay, the first step. The second step is going to be, we are going to install HTTPD and allow the HTTP traffic, and then as a third step, we are going to test the security group rules, okay, to check whether the HTTP is allowing from the traffic or not. Okay, this is what the demo which you are going to see. Now I'm just going to straight dive into the EC2 console. Okay, we have already seen this console many times. So I'm going to launch an instance. I'm going to click on launch instance under the EC2. Okay, it's asking me to um, sign into the console again. So I'm just signing in. Okay, I'm going to give the service name. Okay, so security group. Okay, cloud institution. This instance name is going to be cloud. Okay, so the cloud is SZ cloud institution. This is my security group name. So I mean, this is the instance name, and then I'm going to create one kind of a one of the EC2 instances, which is Amazon Linux. I'm going to choose this one. If you want to choose something else, you can just choose anything out of it. For now, I'm going to choose Amazon Linux. And we are going to have Amazon machine image, which is AMI, which is kind of a free tier eligible. We already discussed it in our previous classes. So now I'm going to choose the T2.micro. So T2.micro is a free tier eligible, which is having a 1 vCPU and 1 GB memory. Okay, so we have already discussed this as well. I'm going to create a new key pair. So the key pair is going to be, okay, SG key. Okay, so I think this is enough, and create a key pair. Okay, so key pair is downloaded, but we're not going to use this one. So as we can see here, so we can create a new security group. Okay, so we're going to focus on security groups here. Launch wizard 7. For now, I'm allowing only SSH traffic from anywhere. So anywhere means internet. So from the internet, if anybody can access, okay, to these instances using this SSH service. Okay, so that is why we are enabling this particular SSH port. So I'm going to show you in detail maybe later. Okay, for now I'm going to launch an instance, and so this is launching an instance. Okay, So for testing purpose, I'm going to launch an instance. I'm going to see, okay, the security group rules. Okay, for example, I'm just clicking on here and I'm just going to see kind of security. I have to go to, so if you want to find like what is the security group which you have used, you have to click on the instances and go to security and then the security groups. Okay, and then click on this launch wizard 7. Okay, now as you can see, there is a two type of options will be there. One is inbound rules, another one is outbound rules. So we have specifically enabled the SSH traffic, so during the instance creation. Okay, that is the reason why we have 22 port is already been enabled. Okay, now if you can go back here to this instance. Okay, so if you can go back to this instance and if you can click on this one, if I click on connect, and I should be able to connect to this instance. Okay, it's establishing a connection. Okay, now I should be able to connect to this instance using SSH connectivity. Okay, now for example, if I can go and disable this SSH connection for this particular thing, so are we able to connect to this machine? Okay, for example, I'm going to delete this one and I don't have any kind of security rules that has been whitelisted. So what do you mean by whitelist? Whitelist is nothing but whatever the whatever the port number has been enabled in this gate, which means it's firewall, that has been whitelisted. So previously we have whitelisted SSH port 22. So now we are not going to we are not going to enable or we are not going to whitelist any kind of a port number from here. So if you can give edit, okay, for example, let's go and see if the instance is still connecting. Okay, so okay, so now as you can see, the instance is not been able to connect to instances because we have disabled the SSH port number from the security groups. Okay, we have discussed what is security groups. Okay, and I'm going to add it again. So it's going to be SSH traffic. Okay, the traffic port number is going to be 22, and I'm going to be allowing from anywhere IPv4. Okay, and you can save the rule, and you can also have any another method. So instead of enabling your SSH connectivity to everybody over the internet, you can also do for your MyIP. Okay, so if so it will only allow the SSH connectivity for your IP address itself. Okay, so but there is a limitation with this one. So if your router is having some kind of a proxy has been set up or something like that, so this IP address is not going to be working for you. Okay, for testing purpose, sometimes I also face some kind of issues with connecting to my my personal IP addresses. So for now, for testing purpose, I'm going to use like anywhere IPv4, which is 0.0.0/0, which means that anybody over the internet should be able to connect to this instance over the SSH connectivity. Okay, so now I'm going to save the rules. Now if you can go and refresh this browser, and you should be able to connect it now. Okay, so now we are connected. Now similarly, we are going to install the HTTPD. Okay, so and we are going to see like whether we are able to connect it or not. So if you're not sure how to install HTTPD, I've already posted one of the videos previously. Please go and see that video, and you'll get to know about how to install HTTPD. Okay, now for now I'm going to the root user. Okay, I'm going to install HTTPD. Okay, he's going to install the HTTPD package, which just means that I'm installing a web server. Okay, so before that, I'm going to access this particular IP address in the browser, so it is not going to work. Okay, so why? Because we have not started the service. Okay, in order to start the HTTP service, what you have to do, you have to go with systemctl start HTTPD. Okay, I've started. I'm going to refresh it again to see whether it's working or not. It's still not working. Okay, the reason being we have enabled only SSH port number from this particular security groups to be able to access the particular SSH the service. Now what we have to do is that we also have to enable HTTP service. Okay, so HTTP service, which is the port number 80, to be able to access the HTTP service. We have a HTTP service over here. So if we enable it, that particular port number 80 is going to search whether the HTTP service has been enabled or not. Okay, so now let's go back again to the security groups. Okay, let's edit inbound rules again and add rules, and custom TCP is going to be like 80, or you can also give HTTP here, HTTP, so it automatically take the port number from here, so anywhere IPv4, and I'm going to save the rule. Okay, now I'm whitelisting 80 port, okay, from outside. Okay, so anybody should be able to connect this machine using the 80 port to this particular HTTP service. So now if you can go back to the same browser and if you can refresh it, it's showing that so it works. Okay, so as you can see here, so this is what, like, so we have enabled HTTP and HTTP, SSH and HTTP port number. Okay, so in future, if you are enabling or HTTPS services, okay, so now we have only HTTP as we discussed. Okay, now, okay, this is what it works. But if you can give HTTPS, it's not going to work because we have not enabled the HTTPS services, in the system, and also we have not enabled the HTTPS port number to be whitelisted. If you want to enable HTTPS again, you can just go and type it HTTPS, okay, to anywhere IPv4, and you can just save the rules. But as I mentioned, so this is not recommended. So always you have to give something like, if you wanted to have access like a private, and you can just give something like private ranges. For example, 10.0.0.0/24. For example, if you wanted to allow anybody within this subnet, okay, to be able to access this particular services, you can do this. Okay, so here 192.168.0.0/24. Okay, so you can also do like this, and also you can also do for like my IP. Okay, save rules. So you can just do all these kind of things, so you can just play around with this, so basically the concept of this particular thing is that it will be allowing and allowing and disallowing any kind of a request from the from outside. So the security group will basically be a firewall which is used to allow or disallow any kind of requests. So as I mentioned that who can go outside now. Okay, so who can go from, okay, this is the instances, I mean this apartment for example, who can go outside from here. Okay, anybody can go outside from here, so any kind of services, so anybody within this within the apartment can go outside from this particular apartment or particular instance. Okay, so now if you can see the outbound rules, by default all the traffic will be enabled, you know uh, like whitelisted to the internet. Okay, so this is what called inbound rules is default deny. So what do you mean by default deny? So by default, whenever you're creating a security group, so there won't be any kind of a security group rules to be enabled. So you have to go and explicitly enable the incoming connections for these particular services. That's why it's called explicit deny. So on the other hand, if you can go for outbound rules, okay, so we have all the traffic is been by default enabled, so that's why it's called explicit allow or default allow. Okay, so all the traffic from the security group is by default is allowed. Okay, so this is something like some summarized security groups. If you have any questions, please so post your questions in the comments below. I'm happy to answer for this same. So as you can see here, we have launched the EC2 instance, and then we have installed HTTPD and allowed the HTTP traffic, and then test the security groups. Okay, so now it is working fine, right? I mean, so I think we have not tested the HTTP traffic, or maybe I'm not sure. Okay, so we have just I think yeah, we have tested so with the HTTP that has been allowing. Okay, also we have not enabled. Okay, so HTTP start services. Okay, so we have just we have just changed the security groups to be allowing incoming traffic for this particular different port numbers, right? So if you can go for the HTTP traffic to be able to allow the internet, okay, so 0.0.0, and if you can delete the okay, sorry, it's not this one, and if you can go for a 0.0.0, okay, so if you can see this one, and it should work, and let's make it work again. So now it works, right? So yeah, so as per the slides, okay, as per the slides, and so we have installed state launch instances and HTTPD, and we have done everything. Okay, so yeah, so thank you so much, guys, and then please follow our YouTube channel, and just please follow our Instagram and Facebook, and please reach out to this number. Okay, if you have any questions, if you want to if you want to enroll for any kind of courses, okay, we are happy to enroll you for our courses. Okay, thank you so much.